Hello and welcome to another time of Bible teaching. Get your Bibles out. Definitely want to get the Bibles out. I had somebody ask me today about Messiah and what day of the week was he crucified. And I've had other people ask recently. So I thought I would throw it out to you and just give you a video about it. I could easily just tell you it was Wednesday or Friday or Thursday, and that's just it, and that's my word, and that's it. I'm not going to do that. A lot of people do it that way, or they'll give you a little bit about it. I'm going to give you more than you ever wanted to know. Seriously. So we're going to look at three criteria that need to be met. And I'm going to do a quick rundown of what these three criteria are and then go into each one in detail. Now, as I say this, I want to tell you one other thing. I used to think this was critical to find the year that Messiah was crucified. Oh my goodness. Because if you know the day, you can figure out when he was crucified. But keep in mind, what if that month, you have to consider two things. What if the month that you're looking at, they didn't see the new moon for a day or two? So that could move things. And then if you understand what it means about the barley being Abib, what if the barley wasn't Abib and the whole month got pushed back? So these are variables you need to figure in. And I had done this, looking at the possibility of the rapture in 2024. Never said it had to happen. I was just looking at it. But at this point, I don't believe that we can really know in any great certainty that a certain day was a Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever. Because the changing from calendars, from Jewish calendar to the different Roman calendars, and there were quite a few different Roman calendars, and some of the Roman calendars had 12 days or different numbers of days. And I'm not saying that we can't know. I'm just saying that I don't believe we can know with 100% accuracy. So therefore, it's not as reliable as I thought it was. With that qualification started with, if I'm saying that to start with, let's go in and look at this. What day of the week was he crucified? There are three criteria. Number one, the ladies. Actually, no, number one is that Messiah had to be in the house, in the temple for 4 days to be examined to make sure that he was without fault. Number two, the ladies. Why did they wait until Sunday to go to the tomb? They were itching to prepare the body, but they waited until Sunday to go to the tomb. Why did they wait so long? And number three, the 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, so let's start with the 4 days. That Messiah had to be in Jerusalem for 4 days to be examined. And we're going to start with, so get the Bibles out. Let's get them going. We're going to start with Exodus 12. Exodus 12, starting in verse 2. This shall be the beginning of months. Notice it doesn't say the beginning of years. Rosh Hashanah is beginning of years, not beginning of months. This is a different month. Rosh Hashanah, beginning of years, is Tishri. This is Abib, which is later going to be called Nisan. There are two different calendars, a religious calendar and a civil calendar. Anyhow, it shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak to the congregation of Israel, saying, on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for the household. Then, and this is on the 10th day that they do that. Let's come down to 5 and 6. Your lamb shall be without blemish. So it's in the house, and you're examining it to make sure, for 4 days, to make sure that it's without blemish. A male of the first year, you may take it from the sheep or the goats. Now you will keep it until the 14th day of the same month. The whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it at twilight. Now you read that and you think it's at evening twilight, the time between 2 days. We're going to see in a little bit that Messiah was not crucified, was not killed at that time. He's killed at the 9th hour. The difference, and there is no real discrepancy here, it's just that this is not translated correctly. In the Hebrew, and luckily I have a teacher that teaches advanced Hebrew, it reads between the evening, which is between the 6th hour and the 12th hour. So it puts it at the 9th hour, which is it's about 6 p.m. as we would look at a day. But they don't do PMs, they do hours, and they just take 12 hours and divide it up into 12 hours. So he's going to be the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th day is being examined in the temple, crucified on the 14th day. Make sense? So if we go to when Messiah comes into Jerusalem in Matthew 21, where it's the triumphal entry, and he can read and hear, and he's coming into Jerusalem. What we know is Palm Sunday. Guess what? There is no place in Scripture where it's called Palm Sunday or tells us that it was Sunday or the first day of the week that he came in. We don't have that information anywhere. You have to count backwards from the crucifixion to get there. But all through 21 and 22, Messiah is being examined, especially in 22. Everybody that's anybody, the Herodians, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the sages, everybody's coming to question him. The final result was, did they find flaws with him? No one was able to answer him a word, nor from that day on did anyone dare ask him a question. They're asking him questions about Torah, which based on John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Messiah, and the Word was Messiah. He wrote it. He is it. You're not going to trick him up with it. I do like this. From that day on, did anyone dare ask him a question? No, you don't want to go there. Don't ask him anything else. You're going to be made look foolish. So, for 4 days, that happened. How did he come into town on that day, Palm Sunday? Anybody remember offhand? The donkey, the colt of a foal of a colt, whatever. It's on a donkey, right? All right. So now, if he came in on a Friday, if he was, crucified on a Friday, it would be Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday coming into town. Just throwing it out there. If he's crucified on a Thursday, he's coming in Thursday crucified, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday coming into town. Make sense? If he is crucified on a Wednesday, it's crucified on Wednesday. He's coming in on Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday. Oops, that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Because he's riding a donkey. Let's go to Deuteronomy 5, 13 and 14. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. In other words, you can work for 6 days. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor your cattle. Wait, nor your donkey? Your donkey can't work on the Sabbath. If Messiah rode a donkey into Jerusalem on a Sabbath, he's making that donkey work, and he is breaking Sabbath. Messiah did not break the Sabbath. He kept Torah. So you can take Wednesday and throw it out. We're going to throw it out again, so don't throw it too far. We're going to get to throw Wednesday out another time. So I believe it's Sunday that he came in. But let's look at our next one, the ladies. Why did they wait until Sunday to come to the tomb? Let's look a couple places. Go to John 20, verse 1, just to see that they waited. Now, on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb early while it was still dark and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. The first day of the week is a Sunday. All right. So let's also look at Luke. Where else I want to go? I want to go to Luke 22, 23. 54 and 56. By the way, keep in mind that Mary, when she came to the tomb, it was dark. That means the sun hadn't come up yet, and the stone was already rolled away, and Messiah was already out of there before the sun came up on Sunday. Just keep that in mind. All right. Here we want to look at 54 to 56. We'll turn 53, actually. Then he took it down, and this was the body of Messiah, wrapped in linen, and laid it in a tomb that was hewn out of rock where no one had lain before. That day was preparation, and the Sabbath drew near. In other words, didn't die at evening twilight. The Sabbath was coming near, because the Sabbath starts what time? Evening twilight. When the sun goes down, that's when the next day starts, and the Sabbath drew near. Is this a Friday? No. We'll look at that in a minute. And the women who came with him, and the women who had came with him from Galilee followed after, and they observed the tomb and how the body was laid. Then they returned and prepared spices and fragrant oils and rested on the Sabbath according to the commandment. Hear me out. They had time from the crucifixion to go to the tomb to see where he was at, go home, start preparing all of this stuff, and then rested and observed the Sabbath as they were supposed to. They had 3 hours. They had time to do this. So keep in mind that Messiah was in the tomb before the sun went down on the 14th. On Passover, the day of preparation, Messiah was in the grave before the sun went down. We're going to talk about that a little later. I'm just trying to stress that point. Let's go to John 19. There's something else in this, looking at these days and when the women would have come. John 19. Verse 31. Therefore, because it was the preparation day, that's Passover, that the body should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath. So the next day coming up is the Sabbath. For that Sabbath was a high day. Doesn't mean it was smoking pot. It just means that it was an appointed time. It wasn't the weekly Sabbath. The Jews asked Pilate that their legs might be broken, that they might be taken away. Let's go to Leviticus 23 and just see exactly what I'm talking about when I say this was a high Sabbath, an appointed time. So we're going to go to Leviticus 23, and that gives us the best description of all the different appointed time moedim. So Passover and unleavened bread. They're kind of connected. On the 14th day of the month at twilight, and again, that's that 6 p.m.-ish or the 9th hour. And again, Messiah, real quick, just to show you that it's the 9th hour that Messiah is crucified. Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour, there was darkness among the land. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Elah, Elah, lama sabachthani? That is, my God, why have you forsaken me? I've seen teaching over teaching talking about how that Messiah is about to go down and preach to the people in Hades and Abraham's bosom. He's going to bring captivity captive, taking those souls in Abraham's bosom and bringing them back up into the Father's place. And oh my goodness, God could not go down to hell with him. He couldn't go there. So that's why God forsook him. That's garbage. Worst teaching possible. See this? It tells you to go to Psalm 22:1. That's the reference. You don't always get that. But my God, why have you forsaken me, has started it off. That Psalm 22:1 is one of the most vivid descriptions of the crucifixion found in the Bible. Written 1,000 years before Messiah was crucified, and written well before the whole art of crucifixion was ever perfected by the Romans. So while Messiah is up on the cross, he's about to die and he's saying this. What he's basically saying is, hey guys, don't freak out. I know I've just been crucified. I'm about to die. It looks ugly, but you don't think you have no hope. I'm coming back. Read what David wrote. Seriously, go to Psalm 22. You know, it starts off with, my God, why have you forsaken me? Go there and read it. And if you read carefully, you will see that I am coming back to life. And it is in there, if you know what you're reading. Anyhow, some of those who stood there when they heard that said, this man is calling for Elijah. And immediately one ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put it in a reed and offered to him to drink. And the rest said, let him alone. Let him see if Elijah will come and save him. And Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. When is that? 9th hour. All right. Let's go back to where we were at. All right. So 14th day at between the evenings is when the Passover is. So it's on the 14th day, and technically that's when Passover starts. Passover is really only like 3 hours. It's all the day of preparation, but that's when the Passover lamb is going to be sacrificed. Anyhow, and the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread to the Lord. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. On the first day, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. What's the first day? The 15th. What does it mean that it's a holy convocation? You should do no customary work on it. It's a Sabbath. Hold on 1 minute. The day after Passover is always a Sabbath. It doesn't matter what day of the week Messiah is crucified on. The next day will always be a Sabbath. Make sense? It should. While we're here, let's go down and look at the Feast of First Fruits. And when does the Feast of First Fruits? And understand that Messiah is the first fruits of the resurrection of life. He's the first one to arise out of the grave. Messiah is a picture of what's going to happen. And so it's important that these things happen on the day that it's said. When does it say? Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you and reap the harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf, not a stalk, a sheaf. A stalk, one. A sheaf, many. A lot of other people arose with Messiah. It was a sheaf. This is all a picture of what would happen. Then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted on your behalf. Because if the first fruits of the harvest is acceptable to the Lord, then it is the entire harvest is acceptable. When does he do it? On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. This is on the day after the weekly Sabbath. If it was the day after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that first day, which is the Sabbath, God would have just said the 16th. He knows how to count the 16. But when he's telling you it's the day after the Sabbath, it's the day after the weekly Sabbath. It's a Sunday. Make sense? Yeah. It also tells you something else. Sunday is the day after the Sabbath. Sunday is not the Sabbath. I know. I have from Catholic, don't freak out. I'm not relying on Catholics doctrine, but from Catholic sources, I have quote after quote after quote how the Catholic Church changed the Sabbath and that if you want to follow the Sabbath of the Lord, you would do it on a Saturday. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Let me keep going. So now let's look at the lady and what day they would have done what. Okay. If if he was crucified on Wednesday, the next day, Thursday, is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is a Sabbath. The next day, Friday, is not a Sabbath. They're heading to the tomb on Friday to prepare the body. Guess what? You can throw Wednesday away again. If it's Thursday, crucified on a Thursday, the next day is a Friday, which would be the Feast of Unleavened Bread, a Sabbath. The day after that is a Saturday, which is the which is the weekly Sabbath, which you can't go then. And then you come to the Feast of First Fruits the day after the Sabbath, the Sunday, which they could go to. That works. If he's crucified on a Friday, the next day is a Saturday, the Sabbath, and the next day is the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, also a Sabbath. I don't know if you can have both on the same day. Let's assume you can. Why didn't John say it was a Sabbath and a high Sabbath? Anyhow, the following day would be the Feast of First Fruits, which is not a Sabbath, a Sunday they could have gone. Just seems like we're missing something here. All right. Do you remember when we looked at in John 20, verse 1? Actually, we'll go. We'll go back to Luke too. Remember in John 20, verse 1, that when the ladies came, it was already dark. So you don't get that day. That's not a day, because the day starts at daylight and an evening starts at twilight and night comes before day. So you don't get to use Sunday as a day because the tomb was opened, stone rolled away before the sun came up. I know you could go back to something else, but not everyone gives you the exact detail. You can't contradict this. Let's go to, I don't have it right here, but I'll be able to find it quickly. I think it's Luke 23 that we were at. Luke 23. Just to remind you that you can use the day that he was crucified. Yep. That was the preparation day, and the Sabbath drew near. The high Sabbath was coming, and the women who came to him from Galilee observed where the tomb was and how the body was laid. And they returned to prepare the spices and fragrant oils, and they rested on the Sabbath according to the command. So the day that he was crucified counts as a day. It was a couple hours, but it's still a day. So let's go through it. We're going to do it this way. I want you to consider, I'm going to do this, days are the tips, and here are the nights in between. If you can think about these as the nights, and here are the days. If he's crucified on a Wednesday, body's in the grave, Thursday, I'm just going to say it's Thursday night because it's that night going into the next day. Wednesday, Thursday night. Thursday day is good. Friday night, Friday night. Friday, Saturday night. I'm sorry. Wednesday night. Thursday night. Friday night. Saturday night, no Sunday. He's 4 days and 4 nights. It doesn't work. If he's crucified on a Thursday day, Thursday night. Friday day, Friday night. Saturday day, Saturday night. No Sunday, because Sunday he was already, the tomb was already rolled away. You have 3 days and 3 nights. If he's crucified on a Friday night. Saturday night. Oh, you don't get this. You have 2 days and 2 nights. So he was crucified on a Thursday. I hope that was understandable. I know it's probably more than you expected, but now you'll be able to explain to somebody if somebody else has a question. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you. Have a good day.